watch the souls of humans so quickly passing by. Inner power, like the vine grows throughout our many lives. Hey, 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 hey. When souls speak with the mountains, we all take time to cry. Inner power, like the storm rolls, shown to every eye. We watch the waves of oceans. Our arms are open wide. Rains, rivers, lakes, creeks, streams, and springs merge with every tide. We watch the moon and sun dance. Hearts hear the old ones cry. Hands in hands, feet on earth with wings, living on this side.
Welcome, one and all, to our monthly gathering here of the Earthstock Wisdom Council, which includes both our weekly Grandmother Council meeting and our weekly Wisdom Keeper gathering, where we like to explore some of the ancient and traditional wisdom from indigenous people and from various traditions from around the world, and to find a relevance of how that ancient and traditional wisdom is especially essential at this time of so many changes in the world. So today I'll be kind of helping to do the opening, and we have a great lineup tonight of presenters. Really happy to be here at such a drastic and transitional time, but with such a deep and wise group of people that are going to share with you tonight. So we've, in this series, have been focusing on the special attributes of animals and what animals can teach us. And we've been going through a whole journey, starting with the sacred hoop, starting with the influences that affect humanity in negative ways that keep us from mending the sacred hoop. And now we're exploring the deep and profound nature of animal attributes. And not only that, but tonight we're really putting a lot of focus on imagining how these animals, these energies are kind of educating us and making us more aware through their special attributes about entering into what we call the fifth world in many traditions. I know Grandmother Gail will start, and she'll be speaking about the fifth world from a Salagi perspective. And then we'll go through our presenters today, Patricia in Brazil, Lenny, who's in Canada, Marcelo, who's joining us all the way tonight from Bolivia, and also from Mark. So really happy and honored to be here. And we'll start off our round table, our council tonight, with hearing from Grandmother Gail Thomas from her ancient mountain in the Carolinas. So welcome, Gail.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, we are excited to begin imagining what this fifth world could possibly be like. I have to wonder, did the stones who were here first in the first world know that the water was coming? Or is it possible that the water was here and just waiting to be seen or to come into balance enough to bring the plants? What could it possibly be that we know nothing about? Or is it something that is coming into balance and up into the light that we know maybe a little bit about, but we don't really know what it's bringing that will be as world changing as movement from stones to water to plants to animals, and we as humans bringing up the tail end of the animals and still learning from them to be fully human. So we've talked about so many things that the animals have taught us, or that we have learned just from imitating them, because that's what we do. We got our airplanes from imitating the birds. We got a lot of things that we saw first in the animals. So what is it now that the animals can share with us that will help us prepare for this world-changing time that's coming? And I looked at my my chapter on time in the book that I wrote that's just now becoming available on Amazon. So Pamela will put that link in the comments for you guys if you want to see more about time. And Mark raised the question too. Is it really a prophecy, or is it a cycle that's coming back around? time for us original peoples was really just about cycles. It wasn't the clock, it wasn't the calendar. Those things were for the trains, for the extortion of money from people primarily. So, really, is the question something we've seen before? There's a great YouTube video that just came online a week ago about the ones who were here before the Cherokee. And the point is being made that they left things that were humanly impossible. They left a tunnel system in these mountains that was not possible for humans to create. And it's still here. And that information was given by one of the Qualla Reservation elders, Charlie Crow, to the government surveyors that were establishing the boundaries for the Great Smoky Mountains National Park at that time, way back in the 1940s. So, is this another cycle of humans that we're actually going to be learning about at some point? So I'm happy to share all of our information that we've gleaned, that we've really been gathering and talking and sharing about. And then we will invite all of you to join us in imagining what the fifth world could be bringing us that we don't know yet. We really don't know. And that's kind of what I want to emphasize. When we started the Mending the Hoop series, we talked about not knowing what would mend the sacred hoop. And now we've come full circle back to knowing that we do not know what the fifth world could bring. But we do know that the prophecy says the animals are teaching us, and we are learning to be more fully human. So if I look to my dreams are telling me that it's the dimensions. So there's something about the unseen and the multi-dimensional universe that we just realized we are in. We called it, just this universe for a long time. We just recently realized that it's multi-universal. There's more than one universe. So we're very excited to dig into this topic and share what we've learned with all of you tonight. So I think Patricia's going to follow me by bringing you some Taoist understanding.
Great. Welcome, Patricia. In Brazil.
Hello. So happy to be here. Welcome all of you that are watching and this group, Wisdom Council, that we've been together. Well, what I'm going to share today is a little bit of what I have observed from our traditions, from our, oldest traditions of how that connects us with nature, with animals, and how that the moment we reconnect, we really are able to go to this fifth dimension, fifth world as we're watching it all happen. So I'll just give a brief walk into two traditions that are part of my life that I follow deeply. One of them is Taoism, from Asia, from the Chinese, etc., which is more than 5,000 years. It's so old, and how they came to be is because of the observation in nature. Just by observing nature, the cycles, the seasons, what's out there is within us. It's the direct observation with nature, which we have lost through these centuries, right? And Tao represents actually harmony, the natural way of the universe with animals. It's not anthropocentrism. In the Tao Te Ching, which is one of the main directions of books, declares that we humans are simply one of thousands of beings. We're not the big guys, we're one of thousands. And certain animals hold spiritual powers, and how they relate to those animals in their way of bringing us and making us more aware. For example, when they talk about the turtles and the snakes, it represents longevity. Just by observing the turtles and the snakes sheds its skin, our old identity. And when you look, and they live close to earth, and so they teach us a lot about danger and rebirth. The crane goes to magical realms. And then there's the astrology in the Taoism, which talks a lot about, the cycles and how the animals in each year represent something specific and energetic, but all based on observation and the animals, like the rabbit, tiger, snake, horse, right? And they're a living mirror. Uh, it mirrors the Tao. When they talk about Tao, their silence teaches so much alignment to us. If we were able to really observe closely, we would learn so much from them. And then on the other hand, I won't get into specifics about, how that all is represented within us, but it's easy to see, if we observe the animals, and that energy that's there. The other tradition that I wanted to speak, which is old, 10,000 years, is the Toltec tradition. Toltec means the uh, art designers, let's say, okay? And animals are viewed as spiritual beings as well, spiritual teachers, you know? And observing the animals closely helps us get rid of our societal conditioning, because we have been socialized, domesticated, and if we connect with this energy, there's more authenticity. For example, I talked about already of the ants, right? And the ants, they have a team, they work as a team when you look at and observe the ants. All that has been brought into the tradition for us to work with within. Then we have the snake. There's three animals that are very important in the Toltec tradition that we can follow up. The snake, for example, also represents grounding, earth, when it sheds its skin to leave behind everything that is not needed and no longer serves us at all. And even with that poison, it transmutes that, and it's medicine as well. It's transformation. And then we have the jaguar as another representative of the animal world from which we learn a lot. And what is it about the jaguar? It walks in integrity, you know, it embraces our personal power by stalking, which is one of the big pillars in the Toltec tradition, is stalking our thoughts. It seems like a goal was made in the football that I'm hearing all over thunder outside. So going back to the jaguar, right? The habits and the limiting beliefs which we have, false inner narratives, and they teach us dignity, courage when facing the unknown, and it represents the openness, the heart. And then along with that comes the eagle and the condor, right? Two. What does that represent? It represents clear vision, so they observed and used the animals to teach us how to walk in a path. And so when we come to the eagle and the condor, there's a clear vision, and it's an elevated perception, which is freedom, aligning with the divine spirit, expansion, So from earth to the heart to the expansion. And that's when they come with the Quetzalcoatl, the serpent. And then we have this jaguar. And well, there's a lot of ceremonies, and I won't go into detail. But the importance of these two traditions, which I've been following all along, all comes from observation. And in order and find, what's out there, it's inside. And if we quiet and become more silent, maybe we can go to this next dimension, to this fifth dimension in this silence, and really, see a better world, a more harmonious. And that's the Toltecs and the Taoism, which I'm representing right now, is bringing that. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to pass the baton to Lenny. Is that it?
Yeah, welcome, Lenny in Canada. Thanks for joining us. We have quite the international council here today, so thank you.
It's my honor to be here. I find this a really, really powerful subject, especially with the animals and just recognizing, they're part of our family. We think of family, we think of, our parents, our children, our grandparents, nephews, nieces, cousins. But the animals are also part of our family, as the plants are, as all things are. And how do we get there? The fifth world. This is imagining the fifth world. I did a little research and asked myself, well, what's science say about this? What does science say about the fifth world? And it's quite interesting because a lot of this next little bit of the science part comes from David Samina David in Discovering Wild Science. He talks about, to me, everything is perception. How do we see? How do we walk this world? And that's what we're trying to do with our broadcast here. We're trying to show there's different ways of seeing the world. There's ways of experiencing the world. As Patricia just so eloquently told us about the animals, we can experience things through the animals. Each of them tell us something and teach us something about how to see and perceive the world. Well, science up till now has had this timeline kind of perception where everything comes from, you know, it, right now they're questioning that. Why are they questioning that? Because they're trying to find out, where does consciousness come from? What is consciousness? Well, up till now, they study the brain. And neuroscience has made huge leaps. They can tweak this part of the brain and make this flash in the brain and make these memories come up, but they don't know what it is that makes us us. How do we know we are who we are? How do we see that world from this mechanical neurons firing? They can't explain that. So the latest theories is, so space-time, where does it come from? Is there time? Is there space? Well, the latest theories are actually saying that, and they're coming this from a lot of quantum physics. If you look at quantum entanglement, what are the particles? There's all these particles sitting around in the quantum thing, and they have these possibilities of being, but they don't come into being until we actually interact with them. Then all of a sudden, they come into being. They are there. There's no timeline. They just exist in that state. And that's the state we exist in. We exist in that state, according to the latest theories, what they're trying to explain with the consciousness. So, like you think of the Big Bang, you have the Big Bang, up comes all the particles, they form together, we get planets, we get these cycles. Mark can actually talk about the cycles later, how those cycles are interactive and how they flow through our existence. But we think in them as linear. Why do we have a sacred hoop? The hoop's not linear. Cycles are not linear. They go around and around. So they're saying that instead of consciousness emerging from the physical stuff, they emerge from a deeper layer of reality, fundamentally of information, of experience. It doesn't follow those particles. They're saying that consciousness is actually the field we live in. We live in a living spiritual world. When we think of spiritual, I think of, oh, let's go out and do a forest walk and get in the forest and connect with the forest. Or let's take this course. I'm going to become more spiritual. I'm going to, learn how to be spiritual. First Nations never had a word for spiritual. Didn't exist. Because to them, it's how they see the world. To them, their sacred world, different languages, in the Anishinaabe and the Cree was Manitou. And the Haudenosaunee, it was Orenda. In the Siouan tribes, Wakatankan. In the Mi'kmaq, Mingi. And there's basically two translations to that. One is the great mystery. The other one is the life force that flows through us, flows through all things, flows through. That's why the animals have these mystical powers. That's why we have them. That's our life force. That's the thing that we walk in. That's what the new theories of consciousness are trying to bring in of how reality works. We walk and live in a world of possibilities. That's their fifth world. That's the fifth world. That's why prophecies can exist. How can our ancestors bring these prophecies to us and let us know ahead of time? Because there is no directional line of time. They're all possibilities. And those possibilities they see, they get a glimpse of, and it comes to them. It's all how we see possibilities. How do we walk? How do we choose to interact? So when we get ourselves out of that linear world, that world of colonialism, that world of structure of, materialism, of the physical, that is what creates our world. That's what gives us existence. And when we realize we are walking, that the whole existence has a consciousness, has awareness, Wakatankan, Mindu, that great mystery, that spiritual life. I thought about ceremony. What's ceremony? Ceremony isn't a place where we go to become spiritual, not in our First Nation traditions. It's a place where we acknowledge that we're part of that. We bring all the elements in there. We bring in water, we bring in the air, we bring in the plant medicines, we bring in the rocks, the stones. All of that is acknowledged. Each direction is a different animal. We acknowledge our family. We acknowledge that that is all part of what we are, what we walk with each moment. And the possibilities that can come from that are only limited by our perception of how we walk. We need to get out of this way of seeing where it's that materialistic, where people can control and manipulate us because they're controlling and manipulating the physical, economic things around us. So we get caught up in their way of thinking. Walk out of that. Recognize consciousness, that great mystery is through all existence, from the farthest heavens to the most minute particles. And that's what the scientists are now discovering. And I just don't think it's any coincidence that all our prophecies say this is the time of choosing. This is the time that we can enter that fifth world, that we have that choice, that they themselves are coming to realize that is the way the world really works. That is the way the universe works. It's not a hard, fast place. It's a world of conscious, living energy that we walk. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lenny. And we're going to go on to our next council member today. I think we're going to invite Mark. I believe Mark does have a short video he also wanted to share. And then we're going to go on to Taruka, our brother Marcelo, who I believe he's quite a world traveler, but I think he's in Bolivia right now. And then I'll do kind of a wrap up, and then we're going to open up the council for other thoughts and inputs for people who have joined us here today. But with that, I want to go over to and welcome Mark.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you. And I'm going to look at the animals and what we can learn from them about this current moment we're living in. And I'm going to follow Lenny in a bit by choosing to use science, modern science, to analyze ancient animal techniques, the ones we can learn from. And the animals I want to focus on are migratory. So we have these animals like pigeons, which could go across Europe to take messages to different people and so forth. The Reuters agency, news agency, began with pigeons. We have monarch butterflies that leave Canada and fly all the way to Mexico. We have whales that travel thousands of miles for reproductive purposes. We have sea turtles and we have sea lions, and they're all following the magnetism of the earth. Pam, could you show us a map of that magnetism? There you go. You see the arrows pointing up. This is the energetic field of the earth and why our compasses point north. And in a sense, that field is sort of Earth's aura, okay? Gaia, the magnetic aura of Gaia. So I was studying this field and how the animals follow this field and how this field is going through changes currently. And I came across this sea lion, a pup, whose family gets, the entire pod gets beached in San Diego. And this baby pup sea lion continues to follow his magnetic north, what the compass in his head is telling him. So could we just quickly watch this video, because it's fascinating that he would leave the water behind, leave his parents behind, and go on a journey which is magnetic. Go for it, Pam.
Sea lions keep turning up on San Diego beaches.
This was the second sea lion pup found stranded right by the OB Pier in a matter of about 12 hours. But this time, the little guy made it through this opening in the seawall, and locals say he was headed for Newport Avenue. We have some video for you to show you him making his way toward the streets. Very adorable, but very dangerous. Locals here crowded around the little pup, trying to keep him safe. They called police.
So you see, his parents are beached. His whole pod is beached. And he goes and he tries to find an opening through the seawall for him to continue his magnetic journey in the direction that is away from his parents, away from the water, toward humans, down Main Street, etc. So that's a huge, that gives me a huge message I'm getting from this baby pup sea lion. And so the largest living organism, the greatest energetic entity, the biggest animal of all is Earth itself, in my mind. This is who we have to look at to see what's happening. And so when we look at Gaia's magnetic aura, sort of like a clairvoyant can look at my aura or your aura and see how healthy we are or how we might have some form of illness, whatever. Science is clairvoyant in the sense of Earth's magnetic field. We can't see it, we can't feel it, we can feel it, but they can actually map it out. And there are two scientifically irrefutable messages that this huge living organism is giving us two very clear signals that we cannot ignore. We should not ignore. And one is the migration of the magnetic poles. That poor little pup is lost because he's following what he thinks is magnetic north. But the magnetic North Pole is moving, has been moving since 1850. Pam, can you show that? There you go. So you see in 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, halfway through the 1800s, the magnetic pole doesn't move. But now, and since 1904, it's been hightailing it across the North Pole, geographic North Pole, in going from Canada to Russia. And so this is like extremely serious for any animal that's migratory, and it's even serious for our airplanes and airports because every few years they have to recalibrate the world magnetic model. It's called the world magnetic model because if they don't do that, if they don't follow the North Magnetic Pole and readjust, airplanes are going to follow their GPS and land in the airport lobby, just like those poor animals land on the beach. So they have to recalculate. The second factor is the field is getting weaker and weaker. It's faltering. Overall, the field of the Earth is faltering. And so I want to show you where it's faltering the most. Pam, can we take a look at the continents, the South Atlantic anomaly? There you go. So the orange is where the field is a bit stronger. The yellow, the field is getting a little bit weaker. And Patricia and I are underneath the field's weakest point at this moment, which is over Brazil. That's called the South Atlantic Magnetic Anomaly. And this is a sign, indisputable, that the Earth's field is going through its own transition. So we have to pay attention to this giant animal, this giant living organism, and follow it. And the best way to follow it, because most of us aren't scientists, we don't read scientific papers, and the mainstream media will not give coverage to this fact. They're not going to tell you that the world's magnetic field is altered or faltering. And so what I would suggest is that we follow the auroras because that does come out in the news. When an aurora reaches Florida, for example, which it shouldn't because it stays up near the pole, let's see, Pam, how far south the auroras are going recently in the last couple of years. You can see the auroras are getting down as far as Florida. There you have the magnetic field. As it gets weaker, the entrance of the auroras get stronger and go farther south. So if I were you guys, or if I was other people, I would follow the mainstream media and how they're covering. Wow, we just had Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis in Florida. That tells you that the field is under change, under transition. So my conclusion is that sea lion, his compass has not gone haywire. What's happening is the entire Earth's magnetic field is being altered. It's faltering, okay? And that gives us the bottom line, the takeaway that I wanted to bring tonight, which is to say, maybe a bit early yet, but it's still, if this trend, these two trends continue, we have clear signs of transition, change, and challenge waiting for us just over the horizon, just as it did 12,800 years ago, the last time the field faltered. So this might be the Earth, this beautiful animal, telling us, wake up, folks. Change, challenge, and transition is just over the horizon. So that's my two bits. I want to thank you all for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. very insightful, and we always appreciate a little extra eye candy there during council to give us some visual references. And so we're going to go on to now to our next council member. And I do want to say, for those of you watching this on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Feel free to put some questions into the comment section, and we can respond to them later. And also for those of you who are joining us live on Zoom, which we do invite people into our Wisdom and Grandmother Council, our monthly council, to join us here, to be able to be in the room together, but also at the end to be able to have any questions or additional thoughts. This is a council, so we do welcome everybody's thoughts and input. But without any further ado, I'd like to welcome our brother all the way from the land of the Condors. I believe he's in Bolivia now. He travels a lot, but would like to welcome Taruka Larama, or also we call him Marcelo. So welcome.
Hello, everybody. The sound is good. Yeah, I wish you hear me very good, and I'm hearing you.
We hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I am in Bolivia now. We are in the solstice anniversary, this 21 to 24. We have the 4 days of solstice in the winter solstice here. Very cold. I am in the Himalaya at 10,000 feet high. So it's very cold. I agreed about what Patricia say, Lenny, Mark, Gail. That's why we are a brotherhood, because I think we are from different parts of the world, but we think very, very close. Our hearts beats at the same rhythm, and we have the same feeling about what is going on. And Mark say something very strong. I agree about that. And we must to change the paradigm, what is holding the society now. Yeah? And not to become a paradox. It's not a discussion. It's something that our ancestors lived many years ago, and they know, and they put that information in our mythology, and our mythology talks about animals. You know, they put all the knowledge in that mythology and mythological stories for bring that generation to generations, because it was a beautiful stories that our grandmother teaches when we was young. And we hear that and we hear that, but at the beginning we didn't understand how important was these stories. But when we growing up, we study other things. We have a transdisciplinary study in astrogeography, in physics, in magnetic fields, and many other complementary science. Then all this story comes to have a knowledge inside. And the last image that Mark show us have all the secrets inside. I have a maybe 4 years ago, when I was revisiting the Secret of the Incas from William Sullivan. He have a story inside. It's about what happened many, maybe to 26,000 years ago. The north was in the south, and the south was in the north. And something happened, and the polar shift comes, and everything goes down. We call that the Pachacuti, no? The polar shift. And many signals was there, remembering the people. Then the time was coming. The time was coming. It's like an alert, alert, alert. You know, half hour ago, a big earthquake happened in Venezuela, 7.5 grades, and it was shaking all Venezuela. and a lot of structures have fallen down. And that happened because the earth is moving, is shaking, is happening, a big transformation is happening now. So what happened 26,000 years ago? The myth says then in the sky, we have an astronomical constellations. Each culture have his animals in the sky, his holy animals in the sky. But the Andinian culture have something that just not so many cultures have. We have dark constellations. Yeah, it's not what lighting. It's dark. There are cold clouds. Yeah, in the sky, and they have a figure of the fox. Yeah, it's a roasting chicken, the snake, and the frog. Okay, they're very important in our tradition. And the earth was falling of water. Everything was the diluvium, yeah, the flow, and all the animals was dying, and everybody was dying, the plants, the other things. And it was a big mountain, the very most tall mountain of the world. They called the Wilcacoto, yeah, the father Vilca. And they was climbing to the top of the mountain. And the fox was in the first place, then it was the rooster, the frog, and the snake was in the last. But before they get to the top, the rooster say, whoop, 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 whoop. And the fox gets scared. And he rolled down to be the last. He was the first, but then he got to the last. And the water goes until he touched his point of the tail, and it turns black for a perpetual memory. When you see the fox and you look, the tail of the fox is black, you will remember that happened many, many years ago. And when William Sullivan understand that myth and say, oh, this is not just a myth, it's not just a young or children story, it's about astronomy. And what happened? The first science is the observation. Yeah, this first, the most important science is observation, and to hear very good what your elders and your grandfathers say. And he said, okay, the observator was looking the sky at the night and look the constellation, but that that way. It was first the fox, then the rooster, then the frog, and then the snake. But something happened, and the polar sheet moves, and when he wake up again, he looks all that constellation be at the other side, and the fox was at the last, not not at the first. So what changed? It was not the constellations in the sky; it was the observator. The point of the observation was the Earth, and the Earth was changed. And at the south, we was looking the morning coming at the west. Now it comes from the east. Each morning it comes from the east. Okay. So other myths speak about it. Yeah, there's other very interesting myths. But when I look the picture, then Marx shared with us about that electromagnetic disorder at the south of the continent. If you look the picture, it's like a foxtail. It's like the foxtail. Okay, I'm gonna make a parenthesis there. If you see that foxtail in Gobelin Tepe, because there's a lot of stelas in Gobelin Tepe, and there's 3 stelas with the tail of the fox, and the tail of the fox is in the line of that electromagnetic field. Okay, the same tail is in Tiwanaku, the same fox, the same fox with the tail, and in Coricancha, in Cusco, and other place. So, wow, our ancestors from many other places, in very different places, you go, Gobelitepe is maybe 20,000 kilometers from Bolivia, from Tiwanaku. How do they know? How do they know that myth? How do they know that astronomical observance? It's because it's so clear in the sky. When you look at the night, you see the fox there, you see the animals who are there. But what is going on now? The foxtail is getting big, big, big. It's from South America, even getting to Africa. So big and long tail. And one moment it will turning on, all the polar shift will go around to the other side. And that polar shift will be a devastation, as how we understand life will change forever. And nothing will be in his sight again, okay? Just few places in the world. One of them is Tiwanaku, because that place was before, and it was before and before. That's why it's the center of the center. And Goblin Tepe means the same. It's very similar concept between Tiwanaku and Goblin Tepe, because they're astrological sites. And that places are very, very old, very, 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 very old. Because, the Germans who work in Goblin Tepe dates there 26,000 years. 26,000 years. And the same picture is in Tiwanaku. So Tiwanaku had 26,000 years. So I believe that this moment in our talk is to understand what the shamanist way do and what the shamanist can give to the world this moment. By our ancestral way of knowledge, we are animism. What is animism? Is to feel that everybody, each creature in this world have spirit. That's animism. Anima. So the plant, the animal, the sun, the star have a spirit. And what we do, the animals, what we do, we talk with that spirit. We live and share with the spirit. We get in relation, in reciprocity with that spirit. And then we learn from that spirit. And then we know that these things happened before will happen again. And we are not confused about that. We don't get scared about that. We are very clear. Then our knowledge will help to reconstruct the world in the moment then it will need it to be put it in the hands of the community. So we are returning that our ancestral knowledge to the community. That's we are sharing today, this knowledge, okay? So I will finish with this feeling that I have for all of you, my relatives. I think this moment is coming. Even when I was very young, 3-4 years in my youngness, my two grandmothers, they was midwives. One from a different culture. She was Aramic from the south of Lebanon in Canaan, and my other grandmother was from other Canaan in the Canaviris in the Aymara Lupaca nation. So I'm from Canaan and Canaan, and Canaan for us is the place of the lights, the Carmel light. So my two grandmothers teach me then to be another midwife. So I learned from them to be a midwife. So I learned from the women to feel the sacrality of being the female part of the life. So for us, sacrality is female. And we return to our grandmother, Pachamama. She's so important. So we need to return to be sons of the earth, sons and daughters of Mother Earth. And that is the reconnection with nature. We are disconnection. That is all anthropocentrism. That is to believe that humans are the center of the creation. We are not the center. We are just one part. And when we left that Adamic trauma, because it's an Adamic trauma, to think that we are separate from nature and we return to be people who lived before in the golden times. We have been like other animals. When we was living there, we was speaking with the animals. We was living naked with no depressed, no rush. That happened. But you go to a village in the Amazonia and you live with just like naked there because it's very hard there. You will speak with the animals. You will learn how the elders speak with the animals and with the trees and with the plants. And that happened because they are not disconnected from the natural way of life. So this is what we want to talk, Patricia, Lenny, all of us, as people who have lived all his life trying to understand what is going on. It's very simple. We are disconnected from the reality with the natural way of living, the living good. We must reconnect it to that very old tradition to live in community, to live in a family way, to live as relative with the animals, with the plants, with the mountains, with everything who is around us. When we will do that, then we will understand what is happening, why the dogs are crying, why the birds are not singing, why the trees have a disease, and what is going on in this world. And when we will heal ourselves, being like other animals, other creatures, then we will can heal all around us. And that is our work. Heal ourselves to heal what is around us. That's it. It's not a big problem. It's just to turn off your mental disease and return to the real health. The real health is Mother Earth. Make your heart beat as Mother Earth beating. And that's all. Thank you so much for life. For life. Halada. That's for life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marcelo. Good to see you. And you always have the blue light in your eyes. Like somehow I always see the blue deer with you. So this will
That's my
about
name. Blue Deer. That's my name.
so about bring us towards the end. And I know some people are joining us. We do want to open it up in a few minutes. And again, I want to also acknowledge Pamela, who has really been an essential part of our council, helping to do the live broadcast and also bringing people in and out. It's a lot to do, and she's very much part of this council, even though she's not always heard through her voice, but definitely her actions. I wanted to say some things tonight, but everybody already said what I was going to say. So I guess that's part of having a wisdom council, and I really want to echo and amplify what everyone said, especially Marcelo, because what I appreciate about this council is we're not here to debate our differences. And actually what we find is we have so many different parts of the world we're from. I mean, we have collectively over almost 500 years of experience, also connected to these ancient wisdoms and legacies. We're from 6 or 7 different continents or parts of the world. But yet when we come together, we find common ground. We find a deep unity because we are focused on this idea of wisdom and what can bring the human condition forward. So I really appreciate that about this group, especially in a world that can be so divided and divisive. And of course, you know, we all have our perspectives and our perception of reality and our beliefs, but I find kind of the deeper we go into the nature of these things, the more commonality we find and the less separateness we actually find. So I just really appreciate that we're not here to debate subtle differences of opinions, but we're here to find common ground. And for me, that really reflects in nature because of what we call biomimicry, or nature's intelligence. Things self-organize. So whenever I come into council every week, or whenever we open up monthly in alignment with the moon for these broadcasts to the world, to the community, whoever would like to listen, I find that there's an organic connection. I call it social permaculture. It's like we're all harmoniously coexisting in this garden, and we all kind of know ourself and our experience and our place, but we all come together and we nourish, we complement each other, and we kind of connect through that mycelial web. I'm not going to talk too much about plants because we're talking about animals, but I really wanted to just emphasize that. And the other thing I really appreciate is, we're giving this opportunity very freely. We're not here trying to necessarily sell teachings or commodify this, because I think we're at a point in human evolution that wisdom needs to be shared. We need to sit in councils. We need to be able to deeply listen to each other and connect with each other so we can come to a deeper resonance and understanding to be able to navigate these incredible changes that are happening, that are spoken about in every culture through the different prophecies, whether it's the fifth sun or the fifth world or the Koyaanisqatsi, the Hopi prophecies, the seventh fire. I mean, there's many teachings about potentially this time we're in spiritually, and the importance to really to unify and to work together, but also in doing that, exploring our own self and finding our own superpower. And I will say, a lot of, for me, my journey of discovering my superpowers has been learning to observe, right? As Marcelo was saying, that first part of scientific understanding is to observe animals. And I find so much wisdom there. And of course, everyone has made great points tonight about different animals and their different attributes. But I wanted to just say a few animal names and see what attribute that conjures or invokes for you, because I think they're very prevalent for this time we're in right now. I mean, they all are, but these are a few that struck me specifically when thinking about this council today. So let's take a moment, think about a monkey. What do you get when you think about a monkey? Typically, as a Buddhist practitioner, we say that most people are constantly absorbed in the monkey mind. We're always thinking, talking, thinking, saying what we feel, jumping from branch to branch. And sometimes it doesn't always incorporate a sense of mindfulness or overly self-aware. Think about now like a hummingbird. Hummingbirds are very silent, but yet extremely active, right? Always moving around, moving in many directions. So again, I want you to come up with your own images. Think about a deer. The stillness and the grace of a deer sitting, looking, observing, not saying anything, not moving, but just observing its environment. And then, of course, we have other profound ones like the whale, the record keeper, the ancient record keeper that swims the depths of the ocean. What wisdom, what experience does that whale bring to us in the teachings? And then we think about the paradox of, let's think about the eagle soaring. The eagle sometimes can see everything for miles, as opposed to the mouse. The mouse, which takes the tiniest steps, but sees every little thing there on the ground, right? That mouse medicine. So for me, as I consider, these exceptional attributes that animals have, I mean, dogs bark, cats meow. I mean, there are these things we observe normally, but beyond that, beneath the surface, there's other qualities that they have. So, and what I'd like to present a little bit is also think about the idea of that domesticated can be overrated. We've separated ourselves so much from nature, and for many of us, I don't want to generalize, are in this matrix of consumerism and commercialism. And my girlfriend's from Europe. Everywhere we go, she says, in America, you see a sign, look like this, be that, eat this, drink this. But when we gone to her country in Bulgaria, we're not in a culture of where everything is being marketed. We're not submersed in this constant consumerism. So, part of the thing of animal wisdom and what it shows me is the ability to observe them, but most importantly, to sit outside of the mind and the monkey mind and all the flying around left and right, just being. And a lot of what everyone has said today, just being in nature, experiencing that most ancient primordial part of ourself that really, I think for all of us, goes beyond the intellect and beyond really being able to describe it. And uniquely that everyone has their own perception of what that is. So how that affects me in the merging and thinking about the fifth world in this age of transformation, when I spent time with Grandfather David Manungi in the Hopi, the last world, and I know Gail talked about this, about the first world of stone and then second world in water and how we've gone through these different stages and animals and humans. I think about the story of the last great purification where the Hopi and many people were instructed to go within the earth because they said that a lot of things are going to happen on the planet that if you're on the surface, which is a spiritual symbology, that there'll be a lot of purification happening, but to go within the earth. And they were actually brought that message by the ants. They observed the wisdom of ants, which at that time of evolution was essential teaching for the survival. So I want to encourage people during this time, take time to observe the animals and their wisdom. They might be telling you something that might not just be a spiritual teaching, but might even become an essential piece of us safely navigating through this time of these earth changes so that we can come into this next way of being, whether it's spiritually or our consciousness, or it's actually going to be a new type of civilization on the planet. But the animals are there. They have the teachings. We just have to observe. And I just want to say I really appreciate also what was spoken about. Strangely enough, I just saw a special on Telekabeki in Turkey and Stonehenge, and now they're using advanced technology and LiDAR, and they found that these are actually interdimensional roadmaps of reality with different animals. The stones have different tones, different frequencies, their alignment to the cosmos. And all of this is expressed through animals and attributes. So there's so much to unpack there. I won't go on. I know I have just a little bit of time. But I just really want to encourage you to take time to just be a human being. Instead of a human doing, let's be a being. Let's get back to our primal nature, even if it's just taking a walk in nature, if you live in a urban area, and make that connection, because I do believe that's the key, that's the great wisdom and the teaching that will truly bring us to the next world, as opposed to a world of the patriarchy and extraction and capitalism and consumerism. And I think a lot of us have consciously incarnated at this time because of this great teaching, part of our endless cycle within cycles of our evolution. So I just want to thank all of the council members from being here today. I know we want to take a moment and then open it up for any other thoughts and input, but with great appreciation and respect and resonance. Again, Grandmother Gail Thomas from the Salagi Nation and in North Carolina, and Patricia, we call Pachamama in Brazil, amazing being, Earth Steward Caretaker, Lenny, our brother in Canada, and Mark, one of our newer members who always comes with incredible presentations, and our brother Marcelo, and of course Pamela for sharing, and of course all of you who are part of this council, even if you're just listening. So thank you. It's really an honor at this time on the planet. So thank you so much. With that, I'm going to pass it back to Grandmother Gail Thomas for the final part of our council today.
Thank you all so much. I'm going to sing a song that came to me in the dream time about 2 years ago that aligns so much with what we say here tonight. And the Nanahi are our immortals. They may be the ones who built the tunnels that are now being spoken of, but they are our immortals who live in the mountain, and this song was calling to them. So I'm going to turn on my audio.
I can hear you now.
Thank you, Michael. Honey is to getting by. Separate to terminate. Peoples of this land. No more we say, this is the day. We all take a stand. Still here, for real than local. We survived genocide from colonizers now called locals. Still here, for real than grateful. We survived genocide from legalized by kings, courts and Catholics. Watch the world beginning to whirl in circles. Watch the world beginning to whirl in circles. May our hearts see the day we all have equal say and feel the sun's pure rays. May our hands show the way to heal the earth and stay. Watch the world beginning to whirl in circles. Watch the world beginning to whirl in circles. Thank you all so much. We will end the live stream, and those of you who are on the live stream should be able to see the Zoom link to come in and join our discussion, which will not be televised. But please come and speak with us if you'd like to.